The topic of the month for December 2016 is Flight Risk Assessment Tools. In this presentation, we'll talk a little bit about recommendations from the General Aviation Joint Steering Committee, a government industry group that analyzes GA accidents and incidents. The committee feels that improved risk assessment before and during flight can significantly improve pilots' chances of avoiding accidents and incidents. We'll talk about pilots' responsibility for risk assessment and show you some tools that will help you in planning and analysis routines. Our responsibility for risk assessment is amazingly clear in 2 paragraphs of Part 91. 91.3 deals with our responsibility and authority, and 91.103 discusses our pre-flight action requirements. The takeaway in 91.3 is that the PIC is the final authority for the safety of flight. In other words, the buck stops with us. 91.103 details what we're responsible for knowing before flight, and it takes several paragraphs to cover the subject, but when you add it all up, it comes to this. Consider and act on all information that could have relevance to the flight. That means we need to identify potential hazards and have a plan to deal with them before we take off. And by the way, we also have a responsibility to constantly evaluate hazards and make good decisions with respect to them throughout the flight. When we speak of risk assessment, we're posing and answering 3 questions. What are the hazards associated with my flight? We're talking about identifying conditions and circumstances that could make safe completion of the flight questionable. What are the chances that identified hazards will compromise my flight? Looking at the list of possible hazards, how likely is it that any of them will give us trouble during the flight? The expression of likelihood is known as risk. How can I manage the risk of accidents or incidents? What adjustments can I make to my planning qualifications and equipment that will contribute to my success? Risk assessment is very much a matter of balance. Here's a simplistic example of how it works. Let's look at flight risk in the context of a balance sheet. We'll define liabilities as factors and circumstances that decrease safety and increase the risk of disaster. Assets would then be capabilities, equipment, and resources that increase safety and decrease risk of disaster. Let's say we want to make a VFR flight where the weather is expected to be less than 5,000 foot ceilings and less than 5 miles visibility. While not clear at a million, those weather conditions are well within the capability of most any pilot. But what might we apply in the way of assets that would make the flight even safer? How about an instrument rating? And planning a route over flat terrain in daylight would certainly improve our chances of success. But wait, there's more. Suppose the surface winds at our planned destination will be greater than 15 knots with a 30-degree crosswind. What assets might be applied to this situation? Certainly there are a number of things we might do, including waiting for less energetic winds or choosing an airport with a runway more aligned with the wind. Recent crosswind practice, especially with a CFI, will certainly make us more comfortable and add a margin of safety to the flight. But what if we want to make this flight at night? That may just be more risk than we should accept. If we're going to do it VFR at night, we really want to have weather that's better than 5,005. We've just built a very simplistic flight risk assessment tool, or FRAT, and we've used it to identify assets that compensate for liabilities. Of course, there are many more safety factors to consider for any flight. So many, in fact, that the GA-JSC recommends use of a FRAT to help pilots in their pre- and in-flight evaluations. For more FRAT information, download and read Information for Operators number 07015. It's a more comprehensive tool to help you manage the risks of flight. The URL for this publication is too long to copy in this seminar, so find it the easy way. Navigate to http://www.faa.gov. Type info 07015 into the search window and click Search. That will get you to this page, and from here you can download the publication. Do you want an easier way to do it? Introducing the FAAST FRAT, an easy-to-use, basic flight risk assessment tool for general aviation pilots. The FAAST FRAT is a simple automated spreadsheet that contains 20 condition statements for VFR pilots, 22 for IFR pilots. The statements describe common general aviation flight liabilities and assets. Pilots simply click the Yes box next to each statement that applies to their flight. Each Yes statement generates a risk value, and those values are totaled on the sheet. The total risk value is related to the risk matrix chart to determine whether the flight risk is likely to be low, moderate, or high. In this example, the pilot has fewer than 15 hours in the last 90 days, but a wings phase was completed in the last 6 months. The risk of low recent experience is canceled by the wings phase completion. Surface winds will be greater than 15 knots, resulting in a risk value of +4. The flight will be to a non-towered airport, ceiling will be less than 3,000 feet, and there is no weather reporting at the destination. This results in a total risk value of 15. Looking at the risk matrix chart, we see that a total risk value of 15 is between low and moderate for a VFR pilot with fewer than 100 hours time in type, but well within the low range for an IFR pilot with more than 100 hours time in type. No FRAT can cover all possible flight hazards, but this one, though simple, does address some factors that are common to GA accidents. We hope its use will prompt you to learn more about safety risk management. Now, to get your copy, here's what you need to do. Navigate to FAASafety.gov, click on Resources, then click on Library. Click on Flight Risk Assessment Tool, FRAT. Download the appropriate FRAT for your computer. Note: FAAST FRAT for Windows will not run with Excel or Mac. If you want to run the FRAT on your Apple computer, you'll need the Numbers application. But how about those of us who don't carry laptop computers with us everywhere we go? Introducing the FAAST FRAT app, a free program from your FAA safety team. Coming soon for iPhone, iPad, and iPod, with an Android version to follow. To use the app, simply enter your flight experience and certification level into your pilot profile. Then, VFR-rated pilots select which of 21 conditions apply to your flight. IFR pilots consider 23 conditions. Some conditions increase risk, others decrease risk. As you select conditions, a total risk value accumulates and it's displayed graphically on your device. Here you can see the beginning of a risk assessment. The pilot has selected 4 conditions that apply to the flight. After that, the assessment will move on to flight conditions. As conditions are selected, the flight risk slider moves from left to right as risk values accumulate. When a risk reduction condition is selected, the slider moves from right to left, indicating the reduction in total risk value. Here is the display you'll get when the risk value is low. Note that the slider bar and total risk value have a green background. As the risk value becomes moderate, the display background color changes to yellow. And when the risk value goes into the red, it's imperative that we do something to reduce our risk exposure. The FAAST FRAT app provides a simple and easy introduction to safety risk management for general aviation pilots. The device stores your pilot profile information but doesn't automatically store individual risk assessments. Each time the app is opened, all condition statements are set to off. You can take a picture of your risk assessment, though, and save that image for future reference. Users can, if they wish, share risk assessments with third parties such as CFIs, flying clubs, dispatch personnel, or friends and family. Just click on the email icon to send a copy of the risk assessment to people you designate. A safety risk management tool for GA pilots coming soon to a mobile device near you. An airplane owner once asked an experienced instructor pilot, "What's the best thing to put in my airplane to increase safety?" Without hesitation, the instructor answered, "Gasoline." That's right. The most effective safety tool for any pilot is practicing the art and science of flying. That means more than a monthly trip for the $100 hamburger. Book some time with a CFI at least once a year to practice the items on this list. And be sure to document your achievement in the Wings Proficiency Program. It's a great way to stay on top of your game. Please discuss these items with your FAAST Team representative or FAAST Team program manager. Please direct any questions about this program to your local FAAST Team representative. Special thanks to the Jeremy Walters Band for backing music. Narration by Bradford Wood, FAAST Team Assistant National Outreach Manager. Your presence here shows that you are vital members of our general aviation safety community. The high standards you keep and the examples you set are a great credit to you and to general aviation. Thank you for attending.